I was actually surprised to find out there's actually not that much difference in the picture quality between the two drones shot under normal daylight conditions. You asked for it, a Mavic Air 2 versus Mavic Mini comparison. Here we go. It goes without saying that if you pay the double price, you should get a better drone. But how much better is the Mavic Air actually? We're going to take a closer look into this during this video. You can't really compare them, so this is not a comparison video, but it's about justifying or understanding what compelling reasons you will get with the Mavic Air 2 to pay the extra money. If you don't have the money or don't want to invest the money that it costs to buy a Mavic Air 2, then don't even consider and work with what you got. Flight time. I'm getting roughly 21 to 22 minutes with the Mavic Mini and 27 to 28 minutes with the Mavic Air 2. So roughly 6 minutes more in the favor of Mavic Air 2. There have been reports out there about trouble with the Mavic Air 2 battery, where it actually starts to burn and melt through the plastic shell of the casing of the battery. I would expect this is related to a bad batch of batteries and hopefully not another pregnant battery phenomenon that we saw with the Mavic 2 series. Connection. The Mavic Mini is a Wi-Fi drone that established connection through the 2.4 or 5.8 GHz band. In US, the Mini uses 5.8 GHz. Regardless, these two frequencies are the ones that we are using for our normal Wi-Fi equipment. This means that the Wi-Fi connection is very prone to interference if you fly in areas with a lot of Wi-Fi. It's not a question if, it's only a question when you will experience breakup of the video feed for your Mini. This can either be permanently or temporarily and can be restored, but it's still pretty unpleasant. This is even worse in Europe, where the broadcasting power is reduced significantly compared to the US. You can mitigate that by pointing the flat side of the antenna towards the drone. And you can also benefit from disabling the Wi-Fi on your cell phone. Breakups, they will happen with the Mini, so you just need to learn how to work around them. The Air, on the other hand, offers a rock-solid connection that will work even if you turn your back against the drone. This is the second generation of OcuSync, which was originally introduced with the Mavic Pro. This feature alone is worth the money if you ask me, which you do sometimes. By the way, do you like my content? If you do, then consider subscribing to my weekly tips, tests and tutorials. And I noticed a lot of you have done that lately. I'm so happy to see the growth of the tech drone media community. The Mavic Mini has only one sensor in the base of the drone, and that sensor will help you during landing to avoid obstacles. There are no other sensors on the drone that will help you in case of problems. That combined with losing your video feed because of bad connectivity could be the perfect recipe of disaster. With the Air 2, you are getting front and rear sensors that will help you avoid obstacles. But no side sensors that will bail you out when using quick shots or some of the tracking modes. The weight. With only 249 grams, the Mavic Mini is super attractive in some countries as you don't need to register it with the authorities, making this drone a really ninja that will sneak under the radar. With the weight close to 600 grams, the story for the Mavic Air 2 is different, as this drone needs to be registered, similar to the drones that you fly today. What about compliance against the new EU drone laws that are soon to be introduced? It seems the Mavic Mini will still fly under the radar, where the Air 2, because of its weight, needs to be registered to comply with the new EU rules. Regardless what you read, the rules are not set in stone yet. And with the COVID-19 pandemic, they have been pushed to 2021 before they are phased in. The Air 2, it does not have the required C1 marking and will likely make this drone more restricted in the open category that it should have been. Will this make the Air 2 unflyable after the new rules have been introduced? I think not. But this is something you need to be aware of if you are a European buyer. Do you currently own the Air 2 or the Mini? What was your decision for getting either or? Let me know in the comment below. There's no way around the size. And of course, the obvious, the Mavic Air 2 is significantly bigger than the Mavic Mini, no doubt about that. And there's no way that you can tuck your Air 2 into your pants unless you're a big ass rapper from the 90s with low hanging pants. Bringing the Mavic Mini Fly More Combo kit still takes up a lot of space, so you will still need to put it in a bag anyway, taking away some of its size advantage. With that said, I'm still a big fan of the Mini Fly More combo. It's such a nice compact kit. Noise. The noise of the drones. Despite the sound pressure is less for the Mavic Mini, the flavor of the sound for the Mavic Air is more pleasing for the ear, as you can see in this video. Neither of them are anywhere near the original Mavic Air that sounded like a swarm of bees. Video, one of the main reasons to get these drones. The Air 2 is really a big upgrade when it comes to video, with the 4K 60 FPS, something that even the Mavic 2 series is not capable of doing. Furthermore, you have the option to enable HDR video that will help you a lot when you are flying in challenging light situations with wide dynamic ranges. For DJI to position the Mavic Mini as the perfect entry-level drone, they have crippled the 1 or 2/3 sensor by limiting the bandwidth from 120 megabit per second from the Air 2 down to 40 megabit per second. Furthermore, they have cropped the resolution and frame rate to 2.7K and maximum 30 frames per second. All of this is just numbers. Let's pull up some real-life footage and see the difference. The footage that you're going to see in these examples are shot with a neutral exposure or exposure compensation value of 0 and with the standard color profile. Furthermore, I didn't have both drones in the air at the same time, so there might be a little bit of a difference in the light scenarios. The first one is native 2.7K from the Mini and 4K 60 FPS from the Mavic Air 2. Colors looks a lot more vibrant for the Air 2 and the highlight seems to be better preserved. Let's magnify it by 400%. Sharpness is better as expected for the Air 2, but the resolution is also higher. Same for the 1:1 in 2.7K, the Mini does a pretty good job. Let's magnify again and the difference in noise is less. I bet you will not be able to see a difference on a smaller screen if the colors were adjusted to match. I was actually surprised to find out that apart from a little bit better dynamic range and more saturated colors, there's actually not that much difference in the picture quality between the two drones shot under normal daylight conditions. That's kind of a surprise. This might be different under more challenging light conditions where the limited dynamic range of the Mavic Mini will have bigger impact. On top of that, you have more options with the Air 2 being possible to change the color profile for a flatter profile like D-Cinelike that will take out the saturation that you have seen in these examples, allowing you to color grade the footage like you want. You also have the option to utilize HDR video in case that you run into really challenging light conditions. So this is stuff that's not available on the Mini. But it is kind of mind-blowing that the difference under normal daylight conditions is not bigger. And of course you could argue that the footage with the increased saturation and all that stuff that goes around it looks a lot better if you plan to use the footage directly out of the drone. The Mini footage tends to look a little bit flat and dull. This is how 1080p compares 1:1. The Mini is limited to 60 FPS in 1080p, where the Air 2 is capable of doing it up to 240 FPS, making it possible to slow down the footage with a factor 8 on a 30 FPS timeline. But as you see on the clip, this is at a cost. There are a lot of video options in the Air 2, but in reality not many of them are used on a daily basis. I shoot mostly in the highest possible resolution 2.7K or 4K in 30 FPS. And occasionally in 1080p for the slow motion footage. It's nice with 60 FPS in 4K that can add this extra degree of smoothness to your footage. But in reality, the real assets of the Air 2 is the capabilities of doing HDR video as well as having color profiles at your disposal that will allow you to work with the footage in post. Photo, the second most important reason to get these drones, or maybe the first, depending on what you're into. The photo options for the Mini is quite limited. It only offers single shot and timed shots, and it can only deliver pictures in JPEG. This is where you get real value for selecting the Air 2, as the bigger half-inch sensor combined with the quad bias filter technology making it possible to capture pictures in true 48 megapixel. And that is a lot of megapixels. The Mavic Air 2 is capable of delivering pictures in both JPEG and RAW, increasing your options in post-production significantly. Before we take a closer look at the 48 megapixel, let's compare two 12 megapixel pictures shot from each drone in normal daylight. As with video, colors are more saturated and vibrant with the Air 2. Comparing the 12 megapixel photos 400% magnified, the Air 2 is clearly a lot sharper. Comparing the 12 megapixel photo from the Mini with the 48 megapixel photo from the Air 2 is no comparison as expected. This is even more clear when magnifying to 800%, where all the details in the 48 megapixel photo is preserved. The 48 megapixel photos came in a bit dark, but as they are found as raw on the SD card, that is easily fixable in post. In regard to photos, there are no match. The Air 2 is superior to the Mavic Mini in both features and quality. Apart from the 48 megapixel photo with the Air 2, you get access to something called Smart Photo that will help brighten up the image in challenging light situations. You have the option to do A/B, auto exposure bracketing, if you want to do your own HDR photos in post. You can do panoramas, both horizontal, vertical and 360s, and you can get access to a few other features that I can't remember right now. But you get a lot of additional stuff. You could do HDR and panoramas manually with the Mavic Mini. But if you're into drone photography, this is definitely a strong argument to go for the Air 2, as it's a lot easier and the quality is better. The intelligent flight modes. There are no intelligent flight modes offered with the Mavic Mini other than the 4 quickshot modes, where the Air 2 is offering 6. You could argue how intelligent these quickshot modes are. But in addition, with the Air 2 you are getting active track and spotlight, which is pretty advanced vision tracking capabilities with a somehow doubtful result, as the outcome is not always 100% predictable. I rarely use tracking. It's fun to play around with, but it's not really a compelling reason for me to get the drone. Ooh, I almost forgot the hyperlapse feature that under certain conditions can shoot 8K hyperlapses, making some really stunning short clips that you can use in your videos. This is definitely a unique feature that will help set the Air 2 apart. But remember, shooting longer hyperlapses requires a lot of battery. Wind. It can be no surprise with 249 grams and a smaller battery that the Mavic Air is struggling in windy conditions. It only takes a cow that farts on a field that makes the drone drift in the wrong direction, so to speak. No, I had a lot of issues dealing with the wind flying around, and this is something that you really need to pay attention to, because many other pilots have actually lost their drone on that account. So if you're living in areas where you are facing strong wind on a regular basis, then the Mavic Mini might not be the best choice for you. The Mavic Air 2 with the heavier weight, more powerful motors are much more resistant to wind. I did not have a chance to fly it in strong wind, but it felt and handled pretty well when I was flying around Kronborg, where there was a little bit of wind picking up. If you are living in windy areas, then you should definitely go for the Air 2. The Air 2 of those two. Did this video cover all your questions about the differences between the Air 2 and the Mavic Mini? In case that I missed or left something out, or there's something that you want me to go further into details with, then let me know in the comment below. By the way, did you see the video where I ran into the Birdman, where he tried to stop me flying the Mavic Air 2 for the first time? That video is definitely worth a watch, because it could happen to you. In case you missed that video, you can access it through this card. I hope you liked this video. If you did, then feel free to give it a like. If you didn't like it, feel free to press the dislike button twice. Thank you for watching, and I'll be seeing you around.